Fleetwood Mac, my roommate's dead. Fungus fermentation. Another Wonka reboot, JFK's assassination.
It's not my favorite topic, just my brain's current fixation.
Hyperfocus.
Hyperfocus, a neurodivergent podcast. Hi, everyone. This is Virginia here with another episode of Hyperfocus, a neurodivergent podcast, where I sit down with a neurodivergent guest and we discuss our hyperfixations. Today with me, I have Aarushi Agni, a comedian.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. And our topics today, you're going to talk about RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes.
And I'm going to then later chat about Anna Marie Tendler's book called Men Have Called Her Crazy. But before we dive into that, I like to start off chatting like a little bit about what your experience has been like being neurodivergent.
I feel like I was diagnosed sort of later in life, like my early 20s, and I think I just kind of went through my childhood just thinking that I was like kind of off. Like I was like, I know I'm like weird. I'm like weird and eccentric, and like I think I'm really funny. And I think that everybody would be happier if they cared about all the things that I cared about. Like I was a very like headstrong and like I thought I was smarter than everybody else, and I thought I was the only person who cared about the things I cared about. And then I like got older, and then I realized that everything that I thought was like a niche interest that I was into was something that there were so many other people that loved, but we all felt like I also think that's a function of being like a 90s kid, like because we didn't have what these Gen Z kids have, like
internet is today, or like these other communities.
Yeah, you don't know that you have other people who like the things you like. So yeah, I was just always obsession to obsession. Like I loved the series that I shall not name because it is,
Harry Potter?
Yeah, Harry Potter.
We can just call it Harry Potter, Harry Potter. I think it's fine to like, you can be so into it at one point and then also like later on maybe recognize that
that
the
J.K.
author
Rowling
is problematic.
Sucks.
But yeah, I think that's okay.
But she's an asshole, that's all.
Yes. A huge asshole.
A turf hole. But yeah, so I loved those books, and I actually had like audio recordings of them, and I would like fall asleep listening to Harry Potter, and everyone was like, she's so weird, like what a weird little girl, like, and I would like sing to myself all the time, and I think that's normal, and I still sing to myself all the time, but like as a kid, I would get like frequently like yelled at by teachers for like talking a lot and singing a lot, and like just getting too excited, and then I didn't realize until I was like literally done with college. And another friend of mine actually had gotten diagnosed with ADHD, and she was like, yeah, no, like I've been really struggling. I just feel like I like try so hard, and then like I overcompensate and I overwork myself and all of this stuff. And I feel like I was like, wait, like everything you're saying like just sounds like something that I have experienced. And it took me a long time to get the diagnosis because I had to like get my parents on board, and that required me to make my parents like confront things that they didn't want to confront.
And
like,
most likely one or both of your parents also has ADHD, because that's how it works.
Yeah, like I thought that it was like just a vibe. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I was like, we're just like, we just have this weird vibe. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, we had like word, like my mom used to be like, you're kind of slow. Like you're like a daydreamer like me. Like, like she used to tell me that when I was like a little kid, and I was like, okay, like I'm like a daydreamer, and then
my mom would always tell me like, you're like me, a procrastinator. My mom's a procrastinator, and I always was too, and my brother. And like, it just turns out all three of us have ADHD. Like we're not procrastinators, but that's just like how we handle.
Yeah,
we need the stimulation in order to get things done.
Yeah, it's like the drama really like makes it happen, makes the dream work.
Do you want to get into your hyperfocus?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Well, so let's explain just for maybe the listeners who don't know what RuPaul's Drag Race is. We'll just start with like explaining the show.
Okay, so yes, RuPaul's Drag Race. So I would just like to really quickly say that I am behind, I'm late to the party, about 10 years too late. I don't know everything, and I'm not an authority, and I'm just living. So I'm living, I'm loving it. It's great. Let me go back. Yeah, RuPaul is, according to the show, the most famous drag queen in the world. it's probably true. It seems likely. A historic drag queen, really broke down barriers for bringing drag into the mainstream. I can't like, I'm not an authority, but basically the idea of the show is like, you have all of these people who are drag queens. So like men who dress up as women and perform. And he brings in like 14 young drags. They're not always young, but the 14 dudes who dress up like ladies and has them compete with each other to like be the best drag queen. So they get judged based on how they perform in these challenges that are often having to do with like comedy. Like they'll be like doing like a like character bit, so they'll do acting challenges, music challenges, dancing challenges, and then every episode they always have a runway. So every episode they're like walking in like these looks. So it's like this runway is like red all over or something like that. Like there's always, and the thing is, it's so punny. Everything is a freaking pun on that show.
It is. And wait, do they make their own costumes as well?
Yeah. So the drag queen, well, not always. So a lot of the drag queens come with like all of their stuff that they own. But then there's some design challenges that require them to like make dresses from scratch from the materials that are provided for them in the workroom. And so then there's always a conflict. Every single season, there's one drag queen who's like, I don't know how to sew. I've never used a sewing machine before. And then everyone's like, oh my God.
Right. How did you get this
like,
far?
How could you, like, and people auditioned for Drag Race, like, literally, like, 10 times. Like, some of the people who've gone on it, they're like, I've auditioned for, like, the last 9 years. And then just to create drama, like they'll have like another person who's like, oh, I've just been doing drag for like the last 6 months, but I just thought I would audition. And then like they'll have like a career drag queen who's like, oh my God, like what is happening here?
You got to create, you have to have the different personalities for good television.
It's so like, yes. And it is such a like masterclass for me on how to like create drama because there really is like the show is rigged, obviously, like every show is rigged.
How is the show rigged?
And this is like a big take. Every drag queen that's on the show is there for a reason, right? Like, so some of them have like a story arc that they need to like get to the end of. So, for example, like there was one drag queen who like got an injury one season and then RuPaul was like, we'll bring her back. So she comes back. Eureka is her name. And she's like, got this big personality and there's a dancing challenge. And the dancing episode was the episode that she got hurt the season before.
Oh, okay.
So like we had to like keep her until that dancing episode
to redeem.
Otherwise like she won't get to the end of that arc. So there's like a lot of stuff that happens like that. And there are these people like, so there's this YouTuber called The Drag Detective who goes through every single season and talks about like why it's rigged.
That's so, I love that.
No, the fandom of RuPaul's Drag Race is like crazy.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's like a whole universe of itself. Like people become stars because they like talk about RuPaul's Drag. And I mean, I guess like we're in like the long tail of like culture and content now where like everything is a comment on everything else. Cause like RuPaul itself is like very, like it's all about like doing spoofs. Like they did Why It Gotta Be Black Panther as like a trailer for their acting challenge. And they did like My Best Friend's like spoofs that are combinations of like different pieces of culture. And like in so doing, it's like everything is kind of an homage to something else. And that's kind of like what drag is too.
Yeah,
like
it's
such a comment on like culture and on the times that we live in. And so they play a game called the Snatch Game where everybody does a different character. So everybody is doing a celebrity impersonation in drag. And it's like the hardest challenge because some people are just like natural improvisers and they like do a fantastic job on it. But most people are like, I want to be Britney Spears, but like I don't. So they'll like do Britney Spears' face and they'll like do a really good fit. And they might even be able to get down her voice, but they don't know how to like act in, like they don't know how to improvise in a way that's funny. And like,
right, because it's not just impersonating, it's also impersonating and then being funny on top of it.
Yeah, so there was this one episode where two of the drag queens One of them really wanted to go as Blue Ivy. And then another person was like, okay, well, I'll just do Beyonce.
So they get to choose their character. It's not like assigned to them.
Yeah, and the thing is, you would think that they would go in having prepared a character, because every single season of RuPaul, like somebody has got to do an impression.
Yeah, you know it's coming.
And so Trixie, famously example of this is like, so she was on All Stars 3. So yeah, there's RuPaul's Drag Race, which is like, okay, like who's gonna be the drag superstar of all these 14 girls? Like who's the best? And it's really catty. Like people like have their storylines. Like a lot of people are like, it is like a money game. Like if you have more money, then you're gonna do better on RuPaul. Like because like you can buy better outfits,
get better wigs, better everything.
You also probably just have more time to like learn how to be. You could take like seamstress classes or whatever.
Yeah.
So like it is definitely like some of the people would be making a new dress every week because they just didn't have that many dresses, but they knew that they could like make stuff. Mm-hmm. So like that is something that happens on that show where it's like it does feel very skewed towards people's financial situations, and the financial situation like can become part of the storyline too.
Yeah.
But why did I bring this up? Yeah, so Trixie comes back for All Stars.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so now that after that show's over, usually all of those drag queens that are on the show, they all like capitalize on their success in some way. Like some of them are like huge stars now just because they had like a good arc on the show and the fans were like, okay, I love them. Yeah. I'm that. Because the fans are like, they're scary, but they're also cool. Like, you know, like some of the scariest
like
fans.
Taylor Swift fans?
Yeah, like
a little. Although I don't know how cool they are. Did I say that out loud? I think Taylor Swift fans can be scary.
They're gonna come for you now.
On the internet, I think. On Twitter, they're scary. But I'm not on RuPaul Twitter. Are RuPaul fans on Twitter?
I'm like Twitter hasn't learned that I like RuPaul yet. Every other algorithm has figured it out, but also Twitter is dead to me now. Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
she's not who she used to be.
It's a dead app. Yeah.
But yeah, no, the stans on Twitter can be really mean. Like a lot of the queens of color got like a lot of hatred in the early seasons, especially. And a lot of drag queens have come out to be like, okay, like you cannot harass other queens that are on the show. Like this is absolutely unacceptable. Like if you're my fan and you're harassing another like you're getting blocked. Like there's like a lot of people in the community who are speaking out against that stuff because the stans really do go wild. But they are also super dedicated and super like caring. So a lot of people like there's this one drag queen, Vanjie, who was on one episode of season 9. And she just made such a big impact because when she left, she lost the lip sync. So yeah, at the end of every episode, the elimination is decided by a lip sync. So Ru brings all the queens on and like basically sends away all the people who are safe. And then the best and the worst people get like sort of read for filth, like in a funny way. Like they're like, you may have been good on the stilts, but your acting lacked balance. Like, you know, like it'll be like lots of little like cutesy phrases that are like, you fucking suck, but in like a mean, funny Reed way. So then they send away like the safe ones. And then they're like, oh my God, you're amazing. And then they're like, you suck. You're up for elimination. So the two queens who are up for elimination, some of them for truly arbitrary reasons. Sometimes it's like, you wore the wrong shoes, but everybody did really good this week. So like, it's going to be you this time.
We got to pick something.
Yeah. So they will lip sync for their life. And then in the lip sync, if they can really impress RuPaul, then they can stay. And this is also part of why it's rigged, because some people will just be like really cute or something. RuPaul can make an argument for making anyone stay or go, but sometimes if the lip sync is really bad, RuPaul will eliminate both of them because they like didn't give. They're like, actually, neither of you can stay.
Didn't serve.
Yeah, and a couple of times RuPaul has saved more than one person. Like Shantae, you both stay. Like it's a big deal when that happens. So Vanjie lip synced for her life, and she was really good, but like it wasn't her night. And so RuPaul was like, you know, like and always very lovingly, always very kindly, RuPaul will be like, you are a star, you'll always be part of our family, but it's not your time. Mm-hmm. And then they'll like leave, and they usually like leave on like they'll be like, you know, like dream big, superstars.
Don't give up. Yeah.
Like they'll like say something that's like, you know, it's like, it's always going to be Aarushi time. Like, you know, like it's like they have their little phrase. And Vanjie was like, Vanjie, Vanjie, Vanjie. And like literally is just like backing away and like sort of slithering away like Vanjie. And that went so viral. It went so viral, and like Vanjie became like such a like big star off of that. Yeah, Vanjie came back the next season because she went so viral and there were like memes. Like they literally showed like on the screen, they were like, she went viral. And then like they showed like a collage of all the memes. And one of them is like the Simpsons, like backing into the bush. Yeah. But it's like with her, like, you know, yeah, it's rigged. Is basically the point.
I've also heard, I think kind of back to the fan base a little, and then just some like criticism of the show. Like I've talked to my brother about this a lot, even though like I've seen some episodes, I haven't seen as many as you. But
is your brother part of the
queer
part
community?
Of the alphabet?
Yes,
mafia.
Is. My brother is.
Mine too.
Imagine if my brother wasn't, and he just like had all these opinions on Drag Race. He would be allowed to. It would just be more funny to me, I think.
Hey, we would live in a better world if your brother was straight. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
But my brother's not straight. But we were talking about one kind of like, what is it, skinny bitch privilege or something that happens on the show.
No, they never have a big girl win. Like they get so far and then they don't win. Like Ginger Minge on season 5, whatever, guys. Ginger Minge like got to the final 3. Eureka got to the final 4, which like was their final 3. They like just kept everyone. RuPaul will literally just be like, "It's so hard. I don't have to, so I won't." Except that's not how he talks.
I don't know. I feel like the show overall is like good at bringing the subculture of drag into the mainstream, even though like then sometimes once it gets brought into the mainstream, you kind of fall privy to the downfalls of mainstream. Like it becomes more it's like corporate pride, more selling things like that. But like I still think it's important to like have that sort of representation on television. Yeah.
So the thing that has kind of been coming together for me is just like watching men get in and out of drag like multiple times, like per episode. It really just makes you like think about gender so much differently. Mm-hmm. Like, because honestly, some of them, like, I feel like are more like, you know, some of them are like trans women and some of them are, you know, men who dress up as women and like they all have like their own personal perspectives on how they feel about drag. Like Peppermint is like a trans queen. But yeah, like, but
who was on the last season of The Traitors.
Oh yeah.
Like I love how they just keep repeating that. Sorry, I cut you off.
No. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. So some of them will be trans, and some of them will just be men with like a unique perspective on their masculinity. And for some of them, I really like their feminine energy is like up the wazoo. Like, you know, like they have so much feminine energy. Like, and like I'm not gonna like sit here and be like they're women. Like that's not what I mean. But it's like it shows you like how slippery gender is and how much presentation has to do with like how we perceive and how we respond to things.
And the performance of it as well. Like we're performing here, just sitting here.
Oh my God, totally. Like I'm like sitting with my tits up. Like, you know, it's like I'm not like slouching and like stretching across the bench, which I could do if I was a dick. But like, you know, like
performing like an asshole.
Like I think that is like so... I think that's what makes it so fun too, because it's like if you can change your performance, like you could change like who you are, right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't actually have to be like trapped in the box that you're in. Like you can actually give yourself permission to like express yourself in a different way,
which is so beautiful. But okay, I think we're gonna wrap up RuPaul now. And even though I want to keep talking about this, it's a time thing.
Know.
But we'll pivot over to my hyperfocus, which is Anna Marie Tendler's book. Men Have Called Her Crazy.
Okay, yeah, tell me everything because I did tell you that I was gonna Wikipedia and I did not do that.
And I told you didn't have to, so we're good.
I came home late last night.
So Anna Marie Tendler is comedian John Mulaney's ex-wife. And when they got a divorce I'll start back. They got together in like around 2010-ish, got married in 2014. And Anna Marie has like been in a lot of his stand-up, and he maybe some would argue has kind of portrayed himself as a quote-unquote white guy,
Wife guy.
portrayed himself as a quote-unquote wife guy, which is a guy that's like kind of is so into their wives and loves their wife so much it's kind of adapted as an aspect of their personality.
Yeah.
And I think that's how a lot of people kind of perceived him based on his stand-up and how he like was always like, I love my wife, I'm obsessed with my wife. And so he was in rehab for drug addiction, and kind of simultaneously around the same time, she was also like hospitalized, like a treatment center sort of for she had like suicidal ideation and an eating disorder. So and then after that happened, he gets out of rehab, they get a divorce. He immediately gets with Olivia Munn. Which is, and I don't, and who is a bad person.
Is she a bad person?
She's a horrible person.
Yeah, I did hear something.
She has a history of being like fat phobic, mostly a lot of like just like really disgusting tweets and things that she said about like people who are like mentally disabled, like all sorts of stuff. Like I just think she's just kind of like not, I don't know, not cancel her, but like just, kind of person you're just kind of like, ugh. And then now John Mulaney is married to Olivia Munn, and they have 2 kids now.
Whoa, that happened fast. Everything happened so fast.
It happened so fast. And so when they got divorced, Anna Marie Tendler got all of these fans, like John Mulaney fans, because everyone was like, fuck you, John Mulaney, for divorcing your wife that you're obsessed with. We love Anna Marie Tendler. And Anna Marie Tendler is an artist. And so she had released around the time of the divorce these series of photos called Photos from the First House, a series of her, like, expresses like it was like their house like, that she decorated, with John Mulaney. But it was just her like self-portraits.
Oh, okay, beautiful.
It was really lovely. It was like a really lovely expression of like grief and sorrow and loss, and like I was a big fan of her work. And so then she comes out with a memoir that I read, and my opinions changed because I did not like it, and it made me kind of rethink everything. And I mean, ultimately, initially the book, I think what she wanted to do was do more of like a coffee table books, or like a larger book with her artwork, her photos in it, with like some essays, which I think that would be a lovely, great idea. But her team was like, you should write a memoir
instead.
You
gotta capitalize on the breakup.
Yes, 100%. That's exactly what happened. And I'm like, fuck. So I read the book, and it's just like, I mean, when it comes down to it, like, it's just sort of like unfortunately, like your life isn't interesting enough for a memoir. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, the big thing obviously is John Mulaney's not in it at all, for probably like some sort of airtight NDA. So there's no John Mulaney, which like they were in a relationship for over 10 years. And he's not in the book whatsoever. And
that is crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's a lot of like in and out of like so meticulously going through her time in the inpatient like hospital, almost too meticulously. It's like we don't have to go through every ink block picture you went through, like over and over again.
That's funny.
With like, and then a history of like her experiences with like various men, and again, like they're interesting. And I hate saying this, but like I feel like we've pushed as a culture to almost to the extent that like now I'm almost not like backtracking. I feel like a Republican sometimes, because the main thesis of our book is like, fuck men are dumb, men are stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We accept that. Like yes, got it. We've been saying that now for so long. Like if you're going to make that the thesis of your book, you have to add something interesting on top of it. Yeah. You can't just be like, I had a weird exchange with a guy and fuck men. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
It like bums. I don't know. It's like, what feeling am I walking away with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I wasn't necessarily like convinced. Like it just, I'm like, and not to like let men off the hook, but I'm like, yes, same, sure. I don't know.
Well, honestly, I feel like if that's done artfully enough,
it could be.
Like, it's like, okay, yeah, fuck men. Like, I agree. But like, I think maybe also what you're probably experiencing is that like, it wasn't like good enough to like balance like how bitter or like how like icky it like also makes you feel.
Yeah, it just wasn't saying anything new about it, I guess. Like other than this is her story, which is fine and great. And it was like, this is my story, and men are stupid. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, like it's kind of sure, same. Like the most interesting story she had was when she was like a teenager. She met this guy who was like 28, 29. She was like maybe 17, and she grew up in Connecticut, like near the city, and he was in California. And then they started like an online relationship. Like they met in person and continued online. And then when it was time for her to go to college, she got into like an art school or a design school somewhere, and then convinced her parents instead to let her go to a beauty school out in California where this guy lived.
Oh, wow.
And like, she's like, I got someone to stay with, blah, blah, blah. And her parents were going through a divorce, so they didn't like pay attention.
Whoa.
So she went and like lived with this guy for a while. And I'm like, this is so interesting. I like want more of this story. But then like fast forward to like post-divorce, post-recovery, she's like back on the dating scene, which again just felt so unoriginal because it's all the same, like Hinge sucks, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, like we just hear it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then also like she was going out with these like guy, like I'm reading these stories of her like post John Mulaney divorce, going out with these guys, and I'm like, we're like they're not available, like they're not emotionally available, and she's like trying to make herself available to them. Like it's a lot of limerence, a lot of like all of these things, and I'm like, girl, have you learned nothing? Like I got to like I was like 3/4 of the way through the book, and I'm like, how have you not learned anything about your pattern with men at this point? Which like, and there was like a tiny bit of self-reflection at the end, but it just, I don't know. It made me rethink. And not that like it just kind of sucks. Like I think overall it's kind of sad, and ultimately like we don't know the ends of their relationship, of what that is like for them to both be going through like their own huge personal battles that obviously like
so publicly, but also like lasted years, you know, like if like addiction, like John Mulaney's had a history of addiction, and Anna Marie Tendler's like had a history of like eating disorders as well too, you know, it's like, and then what that inside of their relationship looks like. But she was like, yeah, it's just like all men I've dated or have been with are all like this. I think I was like a little bit disappointed. And I mean, I think maybe I wanted more cultural commentary also possibly. And, mainly, I think I just felt like once I kind of realized, I'm like, oh, they just got her to write this book, I think. I thought they would make a lot more money on it, because I'm just like, I don't think it didn't feel like a real art thing. And she doesn't have like the writing background to make it like, to say what she's trying to say, I think, too. Oh, that's so frustrating. Yeah. I hate that.
Yeah. So it's like, it made me also kind of like have just overall like less feelings about the whole like John and Anna divorce situation. Because I know like the internet got so heated on that. And so it kind of made me like take a step back and be like, okay, you know what? I don't know these people. It's none of my business really. Like I'll read what I read in this book. And you know, you just don't know celebrities. But it also made me be like, oh, right. Like obviously it's not all like John Mulaney being a bad guy and her being like a good person. Like it's two people in a relationship. So like at the end of the day, I don't recommend the book. I wish she had a better editor, but but yeah, thank you for so don't read the book, but look at her art. Her art is fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna end on that. Yeah, and thank you so much for being my guest today. You can see Aarushi Agni perform with her improv team, Shoulda Coulda Woulda, at the BCC in Brooklyn. You can also see her perform sketch comedy with a Boogie Maja team at the Pit, and we will also link her social media handle so you can give her a follow. If you want to support this podcast, we have a Patreon linked in the show notes, and you should also give a follow to Hyperfocus Comedy on social media for updates on episodes and live shows as well. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Virginia Dickens, and this has been Hyperfocus, a neurodivergent podcast.